What would you do for free tickets to an NFL game? Better yet, what would you do for free tickets to a preseason game? For a lot of people, the answer would probably be nothing. Since it's a preseason game, it means absolutely nothing. But for some people, they might be willing to do something trivial for these tickets. Obviously, it's not happening this year, as there's no preseason games to be played. But if I made you an offer right now and said I would give you preseason tickets if you ate 107 live crickets, would you do it? As it turns out, someone actually did that. They ate over 107 live crickets so that they could go to a preseason game. This is the crazy story behind that. First, we need a bit of context as to why this preseason game was bigger than most. The year is 1989, and the Cleveland Browns are taking on the Philadelphia Eagles in the American Bowl. In the late 1980s, the NFL began experimenting with growing the game internationally by holding a series of preseason games around the world known as the American Bowl. The NFL Throwback YouTube channel made a good video about that, which I will link in the description. For the Cleveland Browns, this was the first time that they were ever going to be playing a game across the pond, and as it turns out, quite a few Browns fans were interested in making the trek. This led WPHR, a radio station in Cleveland, to organize a stunt where the winner receives free tickets, as well as an all-expenses-paid trip to London for the game. The contest was held on July 24th, just 2 weeks before the game was set to begin, and the contest was simple. Whoever performed the wackiest stunt wins. Some fans pulled out all the measures for this one. One person ran 3,000 laps around a small course. One person tried mud wrestling. And one person, to show the power of flex tape, sawed a car in half. But Kevin Garish, a young 22-year-old at the time, had something different in mind. Kevin was a recent graduate from Clarion University of Pennsylvania, and since 1985 had served as the team's ball boy. For the record, it's roughly a 2-hour commute from Clarion to Cleveland. Normally, since the ball boy is part of the team, they get to travel with the team. But he was not on the travel list to London. Still, Kevin wanted to go to the game, and nothing was going to stop him from getting into Wembley Stadium for this one. So he did what any normal person would do in this situation. To honor the radio station hosting this, which was 107.9 on the FM dial, he ate 107.9 live crickets. A few days before the competition, he bought 108 crickets from a pet store. The pet store usually sold the crickets as frog food, as they apparently had a lot of protein. As for why Kevin decided to do this, he said that he didn't want to swallow goldfish, so he settled on crickets because they're small, and he ate some before at a college party. Even though Kevin had some experience eating crickets, he never ate that many at once. He had no practice going into this. He only ate crickets in small amounts. When the time for the competition began, he got off to a bit of a slow start. He tried swallowing the first cricket, but it gagged him, so he chewed the rest. And as it turns out, they weren't too bad. Kevin even said that it tasted like cereal. Once he got going, Kevin continued until he ate all 107.9 crickets. Where does the .9 come from? On the last cricket, he bit off the head. At that point, the competition was pretty much over, said a spokesperson for the station. After he did his thing, the whole thing sort of died. We had some other people who were planning to try, but they all chickened out. I think they knew there was no way they could top him. Kevin won the competition and got to go to London for the game, where he watched the Browns lose 17-13. But nowadays, if you want to go to a preseason game, there are much more conventional ways of doing so. Special thanks to all of our Patreon supporters for helping out the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. See how you can become a patron and we'll press future video topics in the description below.